Daf Yomi, Tractate Bava Batra, page 143a, top of the page, with the words V'charkesh ba reshe be midrasha. And he nodded his head in the study hall in approval of this explanation. Azal Lagabi Amar Le, I guess we're in the middle of a story. Anyway, Azal Lagabi Amar Le, Ilu Amar Le, Kini Kachamor Mikari. Rabbi Yirmiyah went to Rav Avin, who said to him, Rabbi Abahu's reasoning is that if a father said to his son, acquire an item as a donkey does he acquire it? In the same manner that the son would not acquire anything if his acquisition were likened to that of a donkey, which possesses no ability to acquire an item, so too, since the father compared the son's acquisition to the acquisition effected by his unborn children, who possess no ability to acquire property, the son did not acquire any property. De'itmar kanika chamor lo kana at v'chamor. Rav Nachman Amar kana mechetza. V'Rav Hamnuna Amar lo Amar klum. Rav Sheshes Amar kana hakol. This is as it was stated. With regard to one who says to another, acquire an item as a donkey does, he does not acquire any property, as a donkey cannot acquire property. But with regard to one who says, you and a donkey shall both acquire my property, there is a disagreement. Rav Nachman says, the person acquires his half of the property, and Rav Hamnuna says it is as though the giver does not say anything, since the beneficiary was included with the donkey in the same acquisition. He does not acquire any property, such as the donkey does not acquire any property. Rav Sheshes says the person acquires all the property. As the giver knew that a donkey cannot acquire property, he intended for the person who was capable of acquiring property to acquire all the property. Amar Rav Sheshes, Mina Aminale, D'Tanya. Rabbi Yossi Omer, Ein lecha marbakishus, ela pnimi shebo. Lefichoch, kishehu toirem, Mosif al Chetzion Shebo v'Toirem. Rav Sheshet said, from where do I say this? As it is taught in a Batra, Rav Yossi says, there is nothing bitter in the cucumber other than its inner part, which is sometimes bitter and inedible and unfit to be separated as truma. Therefore, since one does not know if the cucumber he separates as truma is bitter inside, when he separates truma, he adds part of another cucumber as truma, in addition to the outer part of the cucumber, which is edible. And he separates both as truma, thereby ensuring that the truma consists of sufficient edible cucumber. Amai at v'chamorhu. Rav Sheshet asks, why does the separation of truma take effect? Is it not analogous to one who states, you and a donkey shall acquire an item, since he designated as truma both the outer part of the cucumber, which is fit to become truma, and the edible inner part, which is not fit to become truma, since this does not invalidate the separation of truma with regard to the edible outer part, one can infer that although the donkey cannot acquire property, this does not prevent the person from acquiring the property. Shani Hasam. The Gemara replies, it is different over there. It is different there, as by Torah law, the bitter inner part is also properly considered truma, even though by rabbinic law, if one separated inferior produce as truma, he must again separate produce of superior quality. It's truma. Therefore, when one designates the entire cucumber as truma, he is not designating both fit and unfit produce. D'amar Rav Ila minayin l'toyer minara ala yofe shetruma truma שנאמר ולא תיסו עליו חטא והמכם אתכם בו ממנו. It's my parsha. Parsha's Korach. V'imena nekadosh nesius חטא למה מכאן לתואר המנהרה על היופי שתרומה לא תרומה. This is as Rabbi Ilah says. From where is it derived? That the halacha with regard to one who separates truma from poor quality produce from superior quality produce is that his truma is valid truma. It is as it is stated with regard to truma, and you shall bear no sin by reason of it, seeing that you have set apart from it the best thereof. Numbers 18:32. By inference, this indicates that it is a transgression to separate the inferior part of the produce as truma. Rabbi Ilah explains the proof. And if the inferior produce is not sanctified as truma, why does it involve the bearing of sin, as it is a meaningless act? From here, one can derive that the halacha, right, that the halacha with regard to one who derive that the halacha with regard to one who separates truma from poor quality produce for superior quality produce is that although he acted improperly, his truma is still valid truma. Okay. Rav Ashi, it's still valid truma. Okay. Amar le Rav Mordechai, Rav Ashi, Meisiv Rav Avia Tiufto, Meisiv Bechomesh Noshim, Wohen Shtei Achoyois, Veliked Echad Kalkola Shel Teinim, V'sholhen Hoiso, V'shel Shviz Hoiso, V'amor Acharei Kulchen, V'kudash Hois, Li B'chal Kala, Chal Kala Zot, V'kim La'achat Mihen, Al Yedei Kulan. Amr Chachamim, Ein Achayos V'kudoshos. The Gemara cited Rav Menuna's opinion that if one says, "You and a donkey shall acquire my property," he did not say anything. Rav Mordechai said to Rav Ashi, Rav Avaya raises an objection to Rav Menuna's opinion from a Mishnah in Kedushin B. An incident occurred involving 5 women, and among them were 2 sisters. And one person gathered a basket of figs that belonged to them, and the fruit was of the sabbatical year. And he said, "You are hereby all betrothed to me with this basket." And one of them accepted it on behalf of all of them. The sage said, the sisters are not betrothed, as it is prohibited to marry a sister of one's wife during her lifetime. Achayos hu de'em mikdashos hu nachis mikdashos ve'amai atchamohi. One can infer from the Mishnah that it is only the sisters who are not betrothed, but the unrelated women are betrothed. But why is that so? It is analogous to one who states, "You and a donkey shall acquire an item." Since he tried to betroth 2 women ineligible for betrothal together with the eligible women, the betrothal should not take effect even with regard to the eligible women. Amar le hainu dechazai Rav Huna bar Avia bechalma. The boys Rav Avia tiufta. Lav mi okmina damar haruya mikem levia titkadesh li. Rav Ashi said to Rav Mordechai, "This is why I saw Rav Huna bar Rav Avia in a dream, because you were going to tell me that Rav Avia raised an objection to Rav Huna's opinion. But as for this objection, didn't we interpret the Mishnah and Kedushin as referring to where he says, "Those of you who are eligible for engaging in sexual intercourse with me shall be betrothed to me." Since the sisters were forbidden to him, they were not included in the betrothal in the first place, and there was no impediment to the betrothal of the eligible women taking effect. The case is therefore not comparable to the case discussed by Rav Hamnuna. Okay. Ahu damar lebe debitayu yachsi li chelivnich Amar Rav Yosef kens the mechsav Amar Rav Yosef manal minila the Tanya Rav Yomer Hoysel Aaron levarav mechsel Aaron mechsel levarav. The Gemara relates that there was a certain man who said to his wife, "My property is given to you and to your sons." Rav Yosef says in such a case the wife acquires half of the property, even though the man did not specify how much of his property he was giving her. And Rav Yosef said, "From where do I know this?" As it is taught in Batra, Rav Yehuda Hanasi says, the verse states with regard to the showbread, "And it shall be for Aaron and his sons," Leviticus 24:9. This means half for Aaron and half for his sons. One can infer from the Batra that when it is specified that a gift is to be delivered between an individual and a group, the intention is that the individual receives half. Amar le Abaye. Abaye says to Yosef, "Bishlam Hasam Aran Bar Chalukahu, De Lahachli Prag Berachmana Mishkal Palga, Isha Lav Basi Rushahi, Daya Shatizel Keachad Bin Habanim." Abaye said to Rava, granted there in the case of the showbread, Aaron is eligible to receive a share of the showbread as a priest. It is for this reason that the merciful one specified him separately, so that he should take more than other priests, meaning half. But with regard to a woman who is not eligible to inherit her husband's property, it is sufficient for her to receive a portion of the inheritance as one of the sons, not half of all the property. Amy, is that so? לגבי רבי יוחנן פלגה וסוכי עשה רבי יצחק בר יוסף אמר ההוא דמי כלילה דשנו בי מלכה אבולה ואיסטרוגה אמר רבי נתבו אבולי פלגה ואיסטרוגה פלגה. The Gemara raises an objection, is that so? But there was an incident in Narda where a man gave a gift to an individual and to a group of people, and Shmuel collected half of the sum of the individual. There was similar to a case in Tiberias, and Rabbi Yochanan collected half the sum for the individual. And furthermore, Rabbi Bar Yosef came from Eretz Yisrael. When Rabbi Yitzchak Bar Yosef came from Eretz Yisrael, he said there was a certain coronation tax that was placed by the royal house on the city councilmen and on the prominent citizens. Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi said, "Let the city councilmen give half, and the prominent citizens half." This indicates that when two groups are mentioned together, the intent is that each one represents half. Haki hashta, the Gemara rejects this. Is that so? Haki hashta ahasam nikara havo kasvi bule ahave kasvi. Yitzrugi havi Messiah lahalayu. Yadam alka da have ko Messiah hashtamai daka kisvi abuli be istruge la membra de hari palga bahari palga. The Gemara rejects this argument. How can the case concerning the tax be compared to other cases? There, initially, when they would write the writ of assessment, they would write that it was placed on the city councilmen alone, and the prominent citizens would assist them in raising the sum, and the king knew that they were assisting them. Therefore, now the meaning of what they wrote, it is placed on the city councilmen and the prominent citizens to say that these should give half of the tax, and those should give half. Mea Isaron Avi Mishnei Kalim Mevi Shishim Kliachad Farabay Kliachad. Rav Zera raises an objection to Rav Yosef's ruling from a Brighton to Seftim Menachot 12:7 with regard to one who says, "It is incumbent upon me to bring a meal offering of 100 tenths of an ephah in 2 vessels. He brings 60 tenths in 1 vessel and the remaining 40 tenths in 1 vessel, and no more than 60 tenths may be brought in a single vessel."